Okay, here I am, video 6, last one. This is the last writing task that you need to have a success formula for. So this is the series of paragraphs, which we also call the opinion essay. You're going to, at the very beginning, usually of the second part of the test, the second 75 minutes, you're going to come across this. It's usually the first thing in the second booklet. So you'll see the task written for you, and then they'll have some pages showing you, or the text box in the new online version. I just want to show you exactly how much space they're looking for. So the task is to provide a minimum of 3 paragraphs expressing an opinion on a topic that they provide you with. You have to write on that topic. You should develop your main idea, which means do you agree or disagree with the topic? And you have to have supporting details, proof, facts, examples. So just like all the questions we've been talking about, they want specific, detailed explanations for everything you say. You're writing for an adult who's interested in your opinion on the given topic. They'll show you how much space is provided, or at least I'll show you right now so you have an idea. And then the topic is usually something that students have an opinion on, but maybe not necessarily. But whether you have an opinion on it or not, you need to pick a side, yes or no on this argument, and you need to write this. This question is worth a fair amount of marks, and you want to make sure that you get some marks on it because it's important to fill in everything on the literacy test. Okay, so I'm just going to show you now how much space they expect you to fill. So this would be the first sort of the task, and they would tell you, and they give you some space for rough notes. And then there would be the first page of writing. So that's a full 8.5 by 11 lined piece of binder paper sheet worth of writing. And then it continues on to a second 8.5 size paper lines of a binder sheet. So they're expecting you to write a pretty long piece of writing here. And it said a minimum of 3 paragraphs, if you remember. Well, it's almost impossible to fill that much space with 3 paragraphs. And that's why I want to draw your attention to this minimum word. They're sort of tricking you there. If you write only 3 paragraphs, you're not going to do very well in this question. They want more than that. So I'm going to refer you back to our tips and tricks sheet because this will help you along the way. So in the opinion piece down here, you'll notice that I'm suggesting that you use the 5-paragraph essay format that you are very familiar with. You've all learned it in English and you've used it multiple times. So that format is your success formula for this type of question, which means you're going to have 5 paragraphs instead of their minimum of 3, which gives you a better chance of getting a better mark. So let's just review what that 5-paragraph format is, just in case you've forgotten. So the first paragraph is where you introduce the topic and tell us your belief statement. So yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree with the topic given. In your second paragraph, you explain your first reason for your belief, giving specific details and supporting facts. In the third paragraph, you explain reason number 2, again with supporting details and facts. In your fourth paragraph, you explain reason number 3 with supporting details and facts. And then your 5th paragraph is your conclusion, where you remind your reader of what your belief was and why. Okay? It's a format you're very familiar with, and I have no doubt that you have no problem writing it. I just do want to make sure of a couple things. These are notes that we've noticed when we've had students write this type of question. So first, you need to make sure that you fully explain each and every one of your 3 reasons and give examples of it. Lots of detailed supporting examples. Not just a vague, well, I think that way because it's just the way it is. You can't say those things. You have to be very specific. And even if that means making up your reasons and making up the facts that go with them, just like we talked about in some of those short answer questions, it's okay to make up statistics and make up facts to go with it as long as it backs up what you're saying. They aren't going to fact check. They aren't going to come back on you and say, well, this isn't true. It's okay. Do it to make your essay sound better. The other thing we want to make sure you do is you need to pick one side of the argument. Remember, all these questions are marked based on rubrics. The rubric for this question does not allow for somebody to see both sides of the argument and write about it very well. If you can see both sides of the argument, that's great. That makes you a very well-rounded person, and that's wonderful, and that's what we're aiming for. But on this test, it is in your best interest to pick one side of the argument and stick with it, okay? So let's look at an example so you can see what they're aiming for. Actually, first let's look at the rubric. So again, just like the news report, you're given options of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60 for your marks. We're aiming to get 40, 50, or 60. So you'll notice that a 40 says you've developed a clear and consistent opinion with supporting details, but only some are specific. A 50, clear and consistent opinion is developed with sufficient supporting specific details. And a 60 just means you went above and beyond. Now let's look at that example. I picked the code 50 example because I wanted to point a couple of things out. So first of all, I want you to notice that they've left a blank line in between their paragraphs. So this is just another little clue for the marker to go, oh, look at this kid does have, if I show you the second page, more than 3 paragraphs. And they even showed me they have paragraph breaks because they've left lines between them. Okay? In the first paragraph, the student, it's pretty short. That's okay. He does exactly what needs to be done. No, students do not benefit from the 2-month summer break. They lose knowledge that they learned. It hurts their future and it gives students too much free time. So he's very plainly and simply followed the formula. This is the topic, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to tell you about. And then he dives right into his first reason. And you'll notice that this person has given lots of specific evidence. For example, you forget some valuable skills that you learned during the previous year, for example, in math, potentially making your grades suffer. Students also forget that talking out during class is not okay. Lastly, students forget that being polite and respectful of other people at the school is mandatory. So he's given some very specific examples about what students have forgotten over the 2-month summer break. Okay? And if we just go down, the second paragraph or the third paragraph explains his second reason. The fourth paragraph explains his third reason in the same format. And then in conclusion, you'll notice his conclusion is pretty short as well, and that's okay. It says, in conclusion, no, students do not benefit from the 2-month summer vacation because they lose knowledge, they hurt their futures, and they have too much free time. So as long as you follow that 5-paragraph essay format, you're going to do well on the opinion piece.